Frank, you can hit it, baby.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived to hear from the man himself, Ariel Helwani. Live from the Vox Studios in beautiful New York City, it's On the Nose. And now, to answer your questions, get out of your seats and on your feet because here he is, Ariel Helwani.
Okay, I really screwed up something over there. Let me just make sure everything's okay. Just a little. It was nothing. Oh, it was pretty good. I knocked over my water that didn't have a cap because the cap fell on the ground. I didn't want to put it back on because I didn't want to put it where my mouth was. But luckily, cat-like reflexes. Everything's dry. Don't tell Miles or Frank. Nothing's happened. I guess it was so quick. I mean, this is one of the all-time great saves. Nothing happened. I thought it was actually disastrous. I'm just going to put it over here just for safety. All right. Thank you very much to Mike Heck for that theme song. And without further ado, can I just say one quick thing about the questions? Some of the questions here are Megillas. I can't sit here and read this whole thing. And we have more than ever. And I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them. We have 61 right now. Can I just ask to keep the questions a little tighter? I understand, it's nice to look at, but if we can maybe bold the question, I don't know. Just a thought. Anyway, here we go. This is from Dan. I'm way more interested in a Volkanovski-McKee matchup than I am in a third hallway fight. I know it's impossible, but it's fun to think about. Absolutely. I just don't really talk about it because it's impossible. I don't think Yair, I'm really going to get killed after this. I don't think Yair versus Max makes any sense. I said this, unless they're going with Henry Cejudo, which it doesn't seem like they are. And Henry, give me a call, Henry. Give me a call. You're ruining everything. Everything that we built over the last few years, with all due respect, Henry, you're ruining it. The gimmick is off. You're actually, like, before it was funny to call yourself cringe. Now it's like bad, Henry. I can help you out. Give me a call. We'll figure this out. We'll get you back on track. We made magic together. I never steered. Remember the Bellas? You had the Bellas talking about you, Henry. Now what are you doing? You're ruining everything. You want this title fight? You give me a call. I'll make it happen for you. McKee would be great. And I think that fight would be very entertaining and very competitive. Volkanovski doesn't think so. I'd love to see it, but what's the point? What's the point of talking about it? It's not going to happen anytime soon. McKee's in Bellator. They should do McKee versus Pitbull and Volkanovski versus Holloway. Holloway's fighting in 2 months. What's Volkanovski going to do? He's going to wait? Silly. All right. Ariel, this is from Zach. At this point, I'm guessing you have seen Dana's rant last night after the Contender Series. I have. I was just curious what your thoughts were about his opinion on Nick Diaz. He said he thought Nick looked great for being off for 6 years. Look, I don't think he looked horrible. I guess it depends on what your expectations were. He said he had low expectations. In fact, I think he even said he thought Robbie would steamroll through him. I personally think if that fight happens on any other show, under any other umbrella, Dana's blasting it for putting him in there, for how he looks. That's my opinion. I don't think saying that he looked great is a fair assessment of the fight. Also, this is really a thought instead of a question, but I think it's a shame how little people are talking about the real victims in the John Jones case. See lots of people saying how they feel for John, but very little people focusing on his family. And he goes on to talk more about this. Couldn't agree more. John is not the victim here. And that's why that Instagram story really rubbed me the wrong way. Best thing to ever happen to me. Well, let's ask the victims. And then you read in the police report, allegedly, his daughter is there, again, allegedly saying, call the cops to the hotel employee. This is heartbreaking stuff. And then it's back to Instagram and working out and, it's about me, and my demons and alcohol. Like, again, this is all very personal. This isn't a fight. This isn't, that's why I don't want to get into the whole strip him. Like, there's bigger things. Not strip him, fire him. Before it was stripping him. That was always the thing. Fire him, release him. You think the UFC is going to release him so he could go to Bellator or Triller or someone like that? It's not going to happen. This is a business. But this is incredibly sad. and it's only getting worse. Remember, beginning of the pandemic, he's out, running with the law. First time out, running with the law in Vegas. Who knows what else has been going on? It's just sad. It's sad at this point. And let's not, you're 100% right, Zach. He's not the victim. I see people posting pictures, this and that. He's not the victim here. This is all self-inflicted. No one did this to him. Had it all, could still have it all, is still young enough. And then every time it's like where's the sincerity? Where's the, I don't know. The whole thing's a bummer. David, any word on when Tony Ferguson will step back inside the octagon? Who do you think makes sense for him next? I had heard rumblings that maybe they wanted him versus Islam. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think Tony versus Conor, when Conor comes back, would make a lot of sense, but that's down the line. So we'll see. He's still a name. I still think there's interest in him and a market for him. I don't know if that Islam fight would go well for him, to be honest. Great backstory with Khabib and Islam, but that wouldn't be the fight that I would pick for him if he wants to come back and get back on track. Ariel, with such high demand surrounding the BMF title, who do you think should be the next BMF title challenger? Is there a demand? I don't care. Oh, Newman replies on the page, there is zero demand for another BMF fight. Correct. There is zero demand. It was a nice little thing, and that's that. And I personally think that it was ruined once they made it into an actual title. It was better when it was a figment of Nathan's imagination. Mysterious Frank, is this you leaving a comment, a question on my page?
Yeah.
Wow, this is big. This is the question that Mysterious... And you know what? I didn't even tell him to do this. It was short. It was concise. Well done. What NBA team jersey would you prefer to have Helwani embroidered with? Now, let me ask a follow-up. Do you mean like the little patch that they have on the side?
The name on the back.
Oh, would you want to gift me a present?
I was just curious what team you...
Wow. Well, you're new to the team. Everyone knows that I'm a diehard Knicks fan. That's the team I rock with. In fact, my good friend Drizzy Drake, the Six God, Champagne Poppy, just came out with an OVO Knicks line. Some are saying it's in honor of me. You know, he's an Instagram follower. We DM. No big deal. But yes, Knicks fan since 1990. Orange and blue till I die. And I have to say, looking very good. I mean, GC's Hawks are a mess. I mean, they seem totally out of whack. The whole team, the franchise seems upside down. Trae Young seems to be buying his own hype. The Knicks are on the straight and narrow. I love it. Anyway, let's go to Lewis Gilmore, my good friend. This isn't a question, but sharing an interesting observation I made from Nick Diaz's choice of walkout theme at 266. Nick walked out to Ceremony by Deftones. Now he writes the lyrics. The opening verse. How can't you see this is the end? Let's face the truth. It's obvious. A different morning, the same charade. Tell me what's left. The chorus. So I'm leaving you tonight. It's not fun here anymore. I'll be joining the parade of the ghosts who came before. Wow, how about that? Very deep. Diaz brothers' communication is often subtle on the surface, but there's a lot of meaning to be found in nonverbal. I agree. I may be reading too much, but with everything that came out pre and post fight, it felt ominous. I really wish last week's guest didn't pull out, I think you mean Monday's, Cesar Gracie. And boy, did I hear from a lot of people after that. And boy, are there a lot of people talking about what happened in this camp. And in particular, saying, hey, look at the shape that he was in several months ago. Look at the shape that he was in that fight. There seems to be a lot more to this story and to the buildup and to the comments that he made that at this time I can't really get into. But this seems like a story that is going to have some legs and is unraveling and is just a potential mess of a situation. And so, yes, I agree. I wish he came on to answer some questions as well. Not that I was going to hit him with, you know, some unfair stuff, but like, who else is answering any of these questions? This week's episode of Where the Hell Is He? Hey, Ariel Helwani, where the hell is Gunnar Nelson? That's a good question. I will find out. I'm going to ask his dad, Holly. I don't know. I don't know where Gunnar is. Pedro, during your interview with Michael Chandler, you mentioned how how it is your understanding that the UFC athletes would receive an exemption from having to be vaccinated. In recent days, we've heard news from the NBA that says unvaccinated players in cities like New York and San Francisco will not be getting an exemption and will not be allowed to play. Is it different for the UFC athletes, or do you think this is something that will change for them as well for this upcoming MSG card? My understanding is this is more of an NBA thing, and that as of right now, there's no concern regarding the MSG card. I would love to know the percentage. Like, we're starting to find out 85% vaccinated in the NBA. I think I saw a high number in the NHL, maybe in the 90s. I would love to know if we're even at 50 in the UFC, to be honest. And that's not me, providing any commentary. I just know from my conversations, my limited conversations where I'm comfortable enough talking to people about this, a lot of them aren't, and that's their choice. So I would love to know if it's 50, just out of my own curiosity. Is it even 50%? I don't know if they can go to places like New York if it's if there's a rule that it has to be 100%. Simon, hey Ariel, with your role at BT, will you be a part of the coverage for Fury versus Wilder 3? Not sure yet. Looking unlikely. Also, would you rather fight 10 duck-sized Francis Ngannous or 1 Francis Ngannou-sized duck? That's a good question. I'll go with 10 duck-sized. I feel like I can run away and do my thing. Hey Ariel, currently the UFC champions from all over the world, with Rose and Aljo being the only US-born champions. A few years ago, we had guys like Stipe, Jones, Woodley, Holloway, Dillashaw, DJ as US-born champions. 2021, we've had Ortega, Lewis, Masvidal, Chandler, and Stipe losing title fights. Who do you see as the next great US-born UFC champion? Ooh, that's a good question. Who do I see as the next great US-born UFC champion? How about El Diamante? Dustin Poirier. I'll go with Dustin. Lewis writes Sanhagen. Yeah, I mean, he's probably next. Corey Sanhagen. You heard it here first. Patrick, couple questions. Would you ever consider leaving journalism for a front office job in either the UFC or Bellator? No. I would never do that. They would have to pay me $1 gazillion for that. And I still wouldn't do it. It's just not what I want to do. One day, I want to take a year sabbatical. If I'm being 100% honest with everyone, I want to take a year sabbatical. I want to go run a promotion, show everyone that I would be the best promoter in the history of combat sports, and then I'll come back to journalism. I just want to do it for a year, and then I'll come back. So if anyone wants to give me that opportunity for a year sabbatical, come back, we can talk. Hey, Ariel, my question for you this week is in regards to Kevin Holland. Being that he went to train with DC down in Gilroy, are we going to see a completely new Holland? He hardly trained with DC in Gilroy. It was more Johnny Hendricks in Texas. But I do think we'll see a more well-rounded Kevin Holland. Ariel, my boy Josh Mackey loves your show more than his own family. Could you give him a shout-out? Today's his birthday. He would go absolutely bonkers. Much love, Josh. Usually I'll charge you $100 for this on my Cameo, but for you and Rahman, much love. Happy birthday. Hope it's a great one. Ariel, when can we expect to see you back doing your old job of being on the ground at events, face-to-face interviews with the fighters, asking questions at the press conference? They don't really do the face-to-face stuff anymore. Do you see anyone getting that? There's no media day like it was. It's not really the same anymore, and I have enough to do now where I don't have to go anymore, and I'm lucky in that regard, so I don't know. I'm not just going to go just for the sake of going. Again, like I said recently on the Pat McAfee show, everyone wants to go to the events to tweet out the picture when they're sitting cage side on Saturday night and say, my office for the night, and that's that. What are you getting by being away for 3-4 days? Yeah, maybe you're getting time to drink at the hotel bar. Maybe you're getting time to hang out with friends, colleagues, media, PR people. I don't want to do that. And so if I'm going to leave my family, I'm going to go do something productive. Big interview, talk to people, do something that actually advances my career, not just to sit in the back and ask a question to someone fighting on a fight night, and then a question to this guy, and then hang out at the weigh-ins and take some videos, and then hang out at the fight and take a picture, probably from the nosebleeds, or maybe if I'm lucky, in the back off a monitor. Why? Like, what am I getting out of that? It was a great time, a great run. I'm not saying I'm never going to go back. I'm not saying I don't have interest in going back, but as of right now, the way I've positioned everything in my life, I feel really good about how my week plays out and the things that I'm doing. And I actually think that it would be a deterrent to what I'm doing for all of you if I'm spending 3-4 days doing that sort of thing. Special event, different kind of event, Paul Woodley, SummerSlam, this, that. Sign me up. Big time, sign me up. But to go, I used to think that 80% of success is just showing up. And I still think that. But part of that thinking led me to going to every event. I wanted to be at every card. I remember a friend of mine, a very good friend, a mentor, told me I was in St. Louis for a Strikeforce card in 2010 or 11. And he's like, you shouldn't be going to all these cards. And I said, no, I have to be going to all these cards. This is what's going to separate me from everyone. 10 years later, I'm starting to believe what he's saying. And that's not me saying at all that I'm better than anyone, that I'm bigger than anyone. I'm not. I just did it for a long time, and sometimes you want to change. You want something different. And so that's why I wanted this show twice a week. Change, right? Things evolve, things change, your priorities change, home life change, what you want to do change. I mean, like, all these things change. So anyway. And if I'm being 1,000% honest with you guys, like, truly, as I like to do here on Heel Wednesdays, I don't get treated very well when I go to these events. So why am I going to leave my family for 3-4 days to be treated like garbage, to be treated like I'm not wanted? I don't need extra treatment. I don't need special treatment. I don't need the carpet to be rolled out for me, but I'm treated like dirt. I'm literally treated like I have a disease at these events. People won't talk to me. People go out of their way to, avoid me, to put me in the rat. Like, for what? So I could take that picture and say, this is my office for the night? No, I'm done with that. I'm not going to be treated like that. Is that ultimately the deciding factor? No, because I haven't been treated well for 5 years at these events. Nothing's changed. I was going to go to the Glendale card. And then that was the end of my time at ESPN. The point is, nothing's changed. I just don't want to be treated like that anymore. So when you go down the line, don't want to leave the family, all these new jobs, this show on Wednesday. I used to leave on Wednesdays, all that stuff. Things have changed, and that's that. And everyone's happy. I love this. This is great. Wednesday show, love it. Anyway, would you ever consider releasing a video of the making of a typical MMA Hour show, from the booking process to behind the scenes? I feel like it'd be pretty boring if you ask me. Maybe one day. Hey, super cool to see you have MVP on. My first time asking a question here was about your thoughts on him. Question today is, what are your thoughts on the UFC announcing the interim title fight between Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen? Where does this leave TJ? Good question. I think the big question is, where does this leave Aljo? Because I could see a scenario. Aljo doesn't get back to 100. Yan Sandhagen winner fights TJ. It was only yesterday that I was reminded that Lima MVP 2 is on a Friday. Why is Bellator so underpromoted? I don't know. But they need to pick things up. They are lacking buzz. They are lacking momentum. It is troublesome. Maybe overseas it's going to be different, but they really need to start getting the word out better, building these fighters, building these fights. It's a great fight. They need to do a better job of that. We haven't seen Joanna in almost 2 years now, after one of the greatest fights in history. Any intel on where she is? She's talked about wanting to come back. I saw her at ATT recently. I suspect we'll see her in the next few months, but no serious intel. Thoughts on Henry Cejudo starting his own MMA show with the Schmo? Please refer to my comments earlier. How come MMA champions don't walk out with their belts? Great question. I really think they should. I really think they should. I like that, when they walk out and they hold the belt up. I don't know. And by the way, I don't like when they say fight, like they were calling Woodley a 5-time UFC champ. That to me makes it seem won the belt, lost the belt, won the belt, lost the belt. I know they count each defense as the time, but I prefer it if it's just one time. They call Matt Hughes 9-time. That to me seems a little weird. MMA novice from Atlanta back in your life, wanting to know if Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko interests you. Yes. Refer to my comments earlier in the show. Very excited. Ariel, I wanted to circle back to the WFL and topics of new fight promotions. Trying to find the question here. Shorter the better, guys. They should start with smaller rosters and less cards. I agree. They should find niche stuff like 165-pound division. I agree. Go 165, 175, 185, 195. What does Zhang Wei Li do with a second loss to Rose? That's the problem with going back-to-back, and we've seen it with other people. Cody, remember? Cody TJ? Who else did it happen with? Oh, Rose and Joanna? Does she have a future at 125? Potentially. She's talked about it. Ariel, who was the Scottish UFC fighter who you had on the MMA Hour ages ago and tells a long-winded story about a rucksack and his car being hijacked with a great punchline at the end? Robert Whiteford. It wasn't Paul Craig. Did you ever find out who sent that message saying they finally got rid of you at ESPN? No. I did not. I don't really care. Lastly, whatever happened to that young media member you interviewed with a water bottle back at UFC 127 in 2011? Was it you? I don't know. Can you get that ham and egger McAfee on and go full Helwani asking AEW related questions? Stay tuned. Any interaction with Dana/Hunter? No. I've only talked to Hunter once. This was Hunter Campbell, chief counsel. When I reported, I tweeted one time that he was joining the UFC. I got a text from him saying, wow, I've just been tweeted about, reported on by the great Ariel Helwani. Here's my number. If you ever want anything, hit me up. I thought that was awesome. I appreciated it very much. I've heard great things about him. I hit him up afterwards 5-6 times, even said I'd love to meet. Never heard a thing back. Haven't heard a thing. Who are the top 5 MMA fighters that you would like to interview? I feel like I've interviewed all of them. There's really no one else. More to come. Do you ever think we see John back in the octagon? I say yes. What are your feelings towards Cameo? I think it's pretty cool. I've done it. I started doing it in my hiatus, and I enjoy it. A couple times a week. Why not? Okay, just a couple others, and then we'll call it a day. You gave some good advice to aspiring journalists the other week, my man. Would you have any advice for aspiring publicists? Yes, there's a lot of bad ones in this sport. Terrible ones. The best publicists, in my opinion, are the ones who came from media, the other side of the fence. There's a great one. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning him. CJ Tuttle works for Bellator. Love this guy. Why? Because he used to be an MMA media member. Now, it doesn't have to be this way, but I think it benefits him greatly. So he knows what to pitch, how to pitch. Other people are like, do you want to talk to this guy? Why? Why do I want to talk to him? Tell me why. Give me a reason. Now, this question is coming from someone who I think I know who it is. There used to be a PR guy for the UFC, Ant Evans. He would give me a one-page pitch as to why I should have Mr. X. Sometimes I knew all about this person, but like, that's the effort that you need to go through and with to pitch people. Don't just be like, hi, would you like to talk to Kyle Dawkins? Well, why? Give me a reason why. Is there something that happened to him recently? Is it just that he has a fight? Or is there a backstory? Is there something you want to sell us on? Those are the best PR people. There's a lot of lazy ones in this game, a lot of bad ones. If there's one thing that I've learned in this game, there's a lot of bad PR people, lazy ones too. There's some great ones. I named a couple. There's some, I'm not going to name them all because I'm going to get in trouble again, but come on, stop being so lazy. I'd like to see a change in the opinion of the warrior mentality. I agree. I mean, you could still be a warrior like Brian Ortega, and the fight could still stop going into the 5th. The fight should have been stopped, in my opinion, going into the 5th. He took too much damage. Does what happened over the weekend have any effect on who John Jones is booked to fight against next? Too soon to say. What's the situation with Henry Cejudo? Who the hell knows? All I know is that he's putting everything we worked on down the toilet. Now, of course, when I say we worked on, it's just him on. There's a magic here in the interviews. I'm not trying to give myself the old Barry Horowitz, but we did some good things. The Bella Twins put him over, for God's sakes. You think the Bella Twins are going anywhere near this gimmick? Come on, Henry. You look like the nobody beats the whiz guy. Come on. What are you doing? Ruining everything. All right, just a couple more. What are your thoughts on One Championship? Oh, their last event was good. It was a good event. Do you think Conor McGregor should fight again? Absolutely. What are your expectations this year about your Knicks? Love the Knicks. Think they're great. Love Kemba. Love Derrick Rose. Kemba's going to give everyone the y'all must have forgot. Evan Fournier is the man. Judica, hey, Evan, come on the show. Would love to have you. Oh, this guy says that he used to play with my teammate Joe, and he says, I'm a great men's league teammate. I am the very best. AEW tonight, Brody Lee tribute show. Love that. Brody's the man. May you rest in peace. AEW is doing some great things with Owen Hart. The Memorial Tournament. I love it. Okay, there's so many good ones here. I'm going to pick two more, and then we've gone way over. I mean, when I signed back, I said I'm going to go 2 hours. I'm approaching 4, for goodness sakes. Ari, I love when you talk boxing. Thank you. That wasn't a question. It was too long. Give me a short one. Oh, my God. Look at this. Keith, I didn't even see this. I swear I didn't see this. Ariel, is it too soon to launch GC in Helwani? Can you believe that? Great new segment, and Connor is killing it. It's probably Connor who wrote this. My question is, do you think with Eric Winter joining Probellum, their plan is to eventually launch a Fight Pass style platform? Very astute. I would say yes. Okay. Last thing. Ariel, wondering what your favorite restaurant was from your visit to Cleveland? You know what? There was a coffee shop next to the hotel. This is going to be totally useless, but it was great. One thing I love to do when I go on the road is find a coffee shop and like a local one. I'll never go to Starbucks or any of that. Like, I don't like that. I want to see what's out there. I love coffee shops. One day when I'm rich, old, and famous, and hopefully no one cares about me anymore, not because I did something bad, but just because, it's time to walk away. I want to own a Westphalia. I want a Volkswagen old school, like 1970 Westphalia, and I want to own a coffee shop. And I want to drive my Westphalia to my coffee shop, sit outside, and tell people about my grand old days as an MMA journalist. And that's it. Kids will be grown up, married, great lives. Maybe my wife will be by my side. Maybe she'll be annoyed at me by that point. Who knows? I want my Westphalia with the curtains, orange, yellow, pink, green, something like that. I think yellow. And then I want to own a nice coffee shop, sit out there, drink my cappuccino, go back home, and it'll be happy days. Thank you to everyone who left us questions. The questions are great. Maybe I have to go back in there and write some. I mean, I see a ton of stuff here. I love it. I love the engagement. But alas, we are out of time because, look, I mean, we don't, we don't get paid by the hour here. It's time to go. No, I'm kidding. I could go 6 hours if I want, but, it's time to go. Let's be honest.